Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kubernetes Cluster API Azure weekly meeting for office hours. It's July 27th, and we meet here at this time every week to discuss whatever topics are relevant to Cluster API provider Azure. We are a sub-project of SIG Cluster Lifecycle, which is a Kubernetes umbrella group. Therefore, we abide by their rules of conduct, which, as probably everyone knows, boils down to please be kind to each other, try not to talk over each other, use the raise hand feature, etc. If you have any questions about editing this list, editing this document and stuff, there's some instructions up at the top about how to get access. And if you feel like putting your name here under the attendees, please do so. At the very beginning, we usually leave some time for anyone who's new or wants to say hello and introduce themselves to do so. I'm pretty sure no one here is new, but I will still mute and be quiet for a few seconds in case somebody wants to say something. All right, let's move on to open discussion. Yeah, the thing that's probably on most of our minds is we're having a lot of problems with CI. I don't know if it's worth going through the several problems that we fixed already, but maybe we could, and these aren't all actually related to CAPI v150. We initially, some of the problems cropped up trying to do the vendoring, and now we're just sort of firefighting, trying to get CI healthy again so that PRs and stuff can pass. We merged some workarounds yesterday, or Cecile came up with a workaround, which is basically pinning the version of Kubernetes back slightly. That fixes some problems that we were seeing in installing the Calico chart, specifically on IPv6, or maybe also dual stack. I think it was just IPv6 clusters. That seems to be fixed, and I looked at test grid this morning, and things are turning green again, so that's good. So as far as I can tell, the main remaining issue for CI is the AKS auto-scaling issue, where essentially AKS changed an API on their side to change the behavior slightly. We weren't aware of that. As soon as it started trickling out to all the different regions, we're seeing failures when we try to disable autoscaler. John has a fix there that sure looks like it should work, but seems to have failed. Do you want to update us on that, John? Have you had a chance to look at it this morning?
Yeah, so now that we fixed the auto scaling issue, now there's another failure that we were hitting. We at least hit the same thing twice in a row on that PR. And I tried it locally in a different region and a different region from CI, and it passed for me locally. So I'm trying it again locally for me in North Europe where CI failed. And I'll see if that fails too. But if it passes for me locally, I might just try retesting in CI again and see if it was just a very transient thing. But yeah, I think we overall have a handle on that at least.
It could also be that, they're still updating AKS providers in different regions, and maybe we hit one that had implemented something the other one didn't. But do you think that's a fix that we should do in that same PR, or a separate fix?
Um, I still don't have like a super firm grasp on like exactly why it failed. So I think that'd be a little hard to say, but yeah, I'll keep digging into it.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm a little flustered about this because there's also a lot of related failures that we're trying to track down in an internal pipeline building CAPI, and also test grid in general. There were a bunch of fixes I had to put in this morning because that Go 120.6 bug is still failing a bunch of tests that rely on CAPI or CAPZ. But as far as CAPZ PRs and test grid is concerned, I think that's all I see is this AKS test. So that's better than yesterday, much better. All we can hope for. Does anybody have any questions comments about CI and PRs? Basically, sorry they're not moving forward, but we're doing our best to get them there. Okay, next topic came up is not nearly so urgent, but John realized, and this clicks because I've seen this happen in the past, that when we update people in the maintainers list, it only takes effect where we merged it in main. And when you look at PRs that are targeted against different branches, it correctly checks to see who the maintainers are on that branch and doesn't let his. So logically, when someone's moved to maintainer, the intent is now you maintain the whole project, including the branches that we maintain in the past, but we've just been lazy about cherry picking those changes because it usually hasn't mattered much. But I wonder if we should do that in this case. What do people think? Because we have almost 2 more months before the next release happens. And it would probably be convenient to have Ashutosh and John also be able to approve those. Anybody have any strong opinions or weak opinions? Noaz?
I thought that being a maintainer for a project gives access for the whole, all the branches. Is it not the case?
Logically, that's the idea, but in practice, the way it's implemented, we can show empirically that it checks the target branch, looks at the owner's file, and sees that you're not in there and says you're not an approver, whereas that works fine on main because you are in that case. So if we want to make things consistent, we can cherry pick so the owner's file is the same on all the branches. We've just been lazy about it in the past.
Yeah, I'm +1 for it, but seems a little strange. Do we have to maintain maintainers group for every release branch we create then?
No. It must match up the definition of the maintainers in what is it, Kates.io project, and then check against what it actually sees in the target branch. I mean, the owner's file and the owner's aliases that gets included are a structured sort of YAML thing that gets parsed apparently. So I don't know. I've seen that this is how it works in the past, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works, although I don't actually know how the code runs. Ashutosh?
Yeah, I just wanted to put a comment. It is a tell for me. I didn't know like if we need to do it for the branches, but I think if that is something that should be done, and +1 for that.
Yeah, I think it would help simply because Jack Francis is out for until the very end of August, and other people are going to be taking vacation, and so we end up in the situation where there's only one. I think right now I'm the only maintainer who's here today who can approve things on those branches, which isn't the end of the world, but we could avoid that by cherry picking these things. So maybe we should do that.
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, if people agree, then if one of you could actually create those PRs just to sync them up, then I'll approve them. But I can't create them because I can't self-approve. So if somebody wants to do that as an idle time task or whenever, I'll be glad to approve those changes.
I'll do that.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, and Ashutosh, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you. I came back to workload identity pending topics after I settled a bit in my new company, and so I have prepared a document and raised PR to that. Though I marked it as WIP because I just want to myself try that document blindly and see if it works in a single flow. So once I'm ready, I'll ping, and if there is any volunteer to kind of run through that document and do it, that would be great, because I just want to like avoid that bias. Yeah, and this is what I wanted to just bring that to notice.
Willie?
Yeah, I just want to mention I'm happy to volunteer and take a look because I wanted to learn more about workload identity anyways. So yeah, just let me know when you're ready.
Awesome.
Thank you. Abdur?
So there.
Yeah, exactly. I'd also love to volunteer. So just pin whenever the document is ready.
Awesome. Thanks. I can see the chat. John has typed that he has already set up workload identity, and he can also help us. So thank you, John.
And I have blundered into it without reading the docs and failed once or twice. So I'll also volunteer, but I think maybe we've got it covered.
Yeah. By the way, Matt, like the document is, if you see the proposal, there is a like more detailed document. So if someone wants to go geeky on that, you can take a look at that document. I just want to keep this document like as simple as it should be for a user. Like this would just be able to follow that and get there. So that's the idea.
Awesome. Yeah, there's nothing more valuable than fresh eyes on something like that. So
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you, folks.
All right. Do we have any other cluster API stuff we want to mention here? Any other topics? We can jump over to and do a quick milestone review. February 12th sounds a long ways away, but it's not going to be. Seems like we've had some progress on the VM extension. Do you know about that, Willie? Do you have an update?
Yeah, so we've published a new VM extension and it's supported by ARM64, but it is like it doesn't work specifically with Ubuntu 20.04 due to a bug with like newer Go versions and Ubuntu 20.04. So I opened another PR that only uses the new VM extension for ARM64 architectures, and everyone else will use the original 1.0. And yeah, so that PR it's got 2 LGTMs, so it's kind of just waiting to merge, and I think this issue will be closed afterwards.
Awesome. Should we put the PR on the milestone?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if we're putting both issues in PRs, but
We don't need to, as long as it's
either one. Yeah.
track. Sure. All right, well, I'll just do the slow scroll thing here, and if someone has an update they want to offer, please do. Here's all the ones that aren't moving forward because of me, but Willie and I talked, so hopefully we can finally get auth in SDKv2 updated so that it works better, more the way we intended, and doesn't stomp on workload ID, for example. And then these should start falling like dominoes. I know I've said that a couple stand-ups in a row, but it's still true. Ashutosh?
Matt, while you're scrolling, I just wanted to check, have we also been marking like beginner friendly issues like help wanted, stuff like that, so that we could like put that for I understand that like there will be a lot of issues that would be like critical and we want to get them done, but
Right.
I'm just checking if there's something that we have done it, like I could potentially direct them to a couple of folks who have reached out to me and shown interest in contributing. So I just wanted to seed this thought here.
I mean, I still do that as a practice, and I think we all try to think of that when we're entering issues, but we haven't labeled any haven't labeled any that way in a while, except for this one.
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, maybe we can take a look at these real quick. Maybe some of this is suitable for. Although I'm gonna say no. This is, yeah, that's not actually no. So I don't think we've added any actually that look like they would be good for good first issues.
Yeah, I think I'll also take a pass at this offline and maybe reach out to you and we can do something with that.
There's still a handful that are tagged that way that no one's. Looks like some of them are assigned. But I mean, it's a very good point. We should really ideally beat. If we don't have that kind of those kind of issues, it's harder attracting people to the project.
Yeah. Got it.
It's a good point.
Thanks, Matt.
And also, I mean, maybe it doesn't need saying, but sort of by definition, if they're good first issues, they're not going to be tagged for a milestone because we don't really control that, and they're not critical.
Right.
John?
Yeah, going through the milestone, you might notice that there is not much ASO stuff in here, and that is purely due to my neglect. So I'm going to go ahead and just tag a bunch of ASO issues to put in the milestone that I think we can get done in the next 6 weeks or so.
Great. So we tag this one. I guess it will. I guess that should merge too with the Go 1.5 change. Okay, well, we could look at new pull requests, but I think I'm pretty familiar with most of these. Oh, here's what you were talking about, Ashutosh. Here is the bug fix that we were discussing earlier. I haven't had a chance to look at these yet. Okay. I don't really know if that's milestone worthy. I'm going to leave it because if we merge it, it ends up in the milestone anyway. And this is work in progress, and Tenabot stuff doesn't matter. Private links is a big one that's still in progress, and these ones we've already touched. So I don't know, roughly, I think we've looked at everything. Anything else people want to talk about? Sounds like no. All right, let's call it good for today. See everybody next week in August.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Matt.
Folks.
See you soon.